We have a quorum. I'm happy to be joined by Ms. Martinez. Why don't we quickly go through the agenda and we'll take care of the consent items.
Item number 1, Department of Cannabis Regulation report relative to amending the Los Angeles Municipal.
No, we're having a technical glitch. Can we maybe get a little closer?
Hello? Testing. Department of Cannabis Regulation report relative to amending the Los Angeles Municipal Code regarding commercial cannabis. Item number 2, a city attorney report and ordinance relative to amending the section 104.5 of the Los Angeles Municipal Code, authorizing the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power to disconnect utility services at unlawful commercial cannabis establishment. Item number 3, resolution and CLA report relative to California High-Speed Rail Authority, redefining alternative SR 14. Item number 4, resolution and CLA report regarding support for an incentive of the purchase of electric vehicles. Item number 5, revised resolution and CLA report regarding SB 18. Item number 6, resolution and CLA report regarding the Governor Newsom's California budget for fiscal year 1920. Item number 7, resolution and CLA report regarding ACA 4. Item number 8, resolution and CLA report regarding AB 177. Item number 9, resolution and CLA report regarding HR 763. And item number 10, resolution and CLA report regarding Federal Communication Commission small cell order that would curtail local municipalities.
Thank you. Okay, why don't we take items 4 through 10 and we'll adopt those items, the CLA reports and resolutions, including the revised resolutions on 5 and 10. So without objection, we'll deem those items approved. On item number 3, we're going to continue that item. And why don't I jump into public comment at this point? Okay, I'm having another technical. Drew, you have your copy of the public comment? Mine is. There it is. Lynn Lyman, Tomar Graciano Virgil, Amir Gresham, please come forward. Identify yourself and welcome. 1 minute.
Good morning. Thank you, Council President. My name is Lynn Lyman. I'm a local justice advocate and was one of the co-authors and co-chairs of Proposition 64. As you know, part of the intention behind Proposition 64 was to ensure that some of this green rush wealth went to our communities that had been most impacted and harmed by the war on drugs, specifically building black and brown wealth in this city. I am very concerned about the rush to make amendments to the ordinance, particularly in light of 2 weeks ago, both you, Council Member Wesson and Council Member Harris-Dawson, invited us to a group, and my own council member, Nuri Martinez, was not there, but you invited a group of stakeholders to come in and help you plan for phase 3, to make sure that it was going to be the most equitable way to advance the social equity program. My first concern is that no money has gone to the social equity program.
Wrap it up.
And my second concern is that after inviting us to help you craft phase 3 to make sure that it advances social equity, you're rushing through something today. I was just handed a new version as I walked in the door.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to talk about 2 quick things. First of all is I think phase 2 need to have access to delivery and potentially a micro business license. The other thing I want to speak about is social equity. You know, I hear it all the time and I'm really for it, but I was just hearing Ms. Packer the other day saying how there's tens of thousands of people that are eligible that have been to jail and tens of other people that are eligible that are living in these areas. Now, if let's say we put all them together, there's about 100,000 people, I would just guesstimating. Out of those, if only 1,000 manage to be a part of a social equity license, that's only 1%. What about all the other 99%? What are we doing to help them? Right? I would suggest some sort of a tax for dispensaries that would help to go to those communities. Maybe even people that have been in phase 1, but just more contribution, because I feel like it's just a drop in the sea that we're working on here.
Thank you. Next speaker. Yes, sir.
Good morning. I first like to thank the City Council for your continued courage and vital leadership. My name is Amir Gresham. I'm a social equity applicant partner with a company called Fourth Movement. My experience with Fourth Movement thus far has been integral to ensuring that I'm sufficiently prepared to meet the opportunities present in restoring fairness and creating sustainable outcomes in our communities. It's also been extremely empowering. Their transparency and guidance are vital to the success of entrepreneurs like myself seeking to create an impact in the rapidly evolving cannabis industry. Prior to California's current cannabis regulation, I risked my credibility, freedom, and livelihood, disregarding the principles established to unite us as citizens. But now is the time for historic contributions. As a LA native, I'm qualified to represent this great city, so through the framework that's been adopted and the investments procured by my partners, I'm equipped to lead the way and set the standard for a new generation of patients and consumers seeking cannabis for its healing properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, where's Mr. Grant? Amir, do we have Amir Gresham? Arturo Carmona? Daisy Villa?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
My name is Daisy. I'm happy to be here, and I want to thank our leaders, councilmen, for taking initiative to create an opportunity for people that have been wronged and to create a vision that we all stand together. And with Fourth Movement, for me, being a participant of a potential businesswoman owner, and I can really take it to the next level by representing my community that has been wronged. So it's time to make right some wrongs that have been done to our communities and the impact that it's had in the rippling effects. And I want to thank you all for taking a vision and a stand for that commitment to really stand in your integrity and in your word to help with that social equity program. Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Let's get Donnie Anderson, Edgar Escobar, Felicia Carbahl, Jorge Nuno.
Good morning. My name is Donnie Anderson. I am a social equity candidate. I lived in South Central Los Angeles my whole life, and I am bleeding money from paying on a location for 1 year and 5 months. We need to give those who are ready to be licensed their license now. It is killing us. We've been doing this for 3 years now, and we finally at the table to get it done. Let's see it through. Thank you.
Next.
Thank you. Hey, my name is Zarian Hadley. I'm also a candidate for social equity. I've been following this past couple of years and doing a lot of the media coverage, and it just seems like there's a switch happening right now, a paradigm shift, and that's why this, to me, I got on internet this morning, like we got to get down here because things are happening. So I don't know if somebody's getting bought out or what's happening, but the politics seem really funky, and I believe all these are publicly elected positions, and I just ask that, I encourage that you guys stand for the right thing and don't just go for a check coming your way, because these are publicly elected positions. So we want you to do the work and do the right work, but we just want to make sure that, the social equity applicants get a chance to get their fair shot. When it's 80% of this game is Caucasian. We've been locked up for years. You know what I'm saying? So now here we get an opportunity to do it, and now the city's like, well, we're going to make some plans change now. And it's like,
No, we're trying to, that's your time, thank you, but trust me, we're trying to do the best we can to be as fair as we can. Next speaker. Next speaker, I heard you. Next speaker. Identify yourself.
Good morning, my name is Edgar Escobar. I'm a Phase 2 Tier 1 social equity license holder, born and raised in Los Angeles. I take the city's consideration of moving forward in Phase 3 without the social equity program very personally. I have been mentoring several young men equity applicants like myself on their pathway to ownership in this industry. I was blessed to have the resources given to me by some of the people in this room, and I want to give that back to my community. Without social equity, these men will be devastated, and to be honest, some might go back to illegal practices without a pathway forward. We must not move forward without considering the equity applicants in phase 3. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next. Morning.
Good morning. My name is Felicia Carbahl. As I hope people get familiar with my name. I don't want one of these licenses, just so that everybody understands that I come from an advocate, activist standpoint, a person of color who's been impacted by the justice system personally. I have the luxury of living in Sherman Oaks, so this conversation isn't really about me. It's about the empowerment of black and brown bodies in this city and other cities across the nation. So I read over, so I'm thankful for all of the recommendations that are coming across. I just want my city leaders who look like me, who come from communities like mine, to be mindful of the decisions that you make, because the world is really, really watching.
Okay. Arturo Carmona, Shanice Bullock, Christina Marsh, Daniel Sosa, Elizabeth Ottersman, Hope R., Jasmine Aguiar. Please, guys, come on. If I call you, come on. Karim Webb, Kristen Lovell. Please come identify yourself.
My name is Christina Marsh. I'm co-founder of Loki Lotion and a Tier 2 social equity applicant of Phase 2. I don't understand how Phase 3 is moving forward when we haven't even funded Phase 2 or dealt with the train wreck that is Phase 2. So I would ask that we slow down here, and I understand people need to get to Phase 3, but maybe let those applicants in Phase 3 that are ready to go, let them go into Phase 2. But how are you starting Phase 3 when you haven't even dealt with Phase 2?
Okay, you know what? Before the next speaker, Kat, why don't you come up? There seems to be some misunderstanding. Why don't you come up and explain what it is we are moving forward with? And maybe we can do a better job in getting the word out as to actually what the heck is happening. So why don't you just quickly, and then I'll get the rest of the speakers.
So thank you, Council President. I appreciate the opportunity to address this committee today to discuss next steps on Phase 3. Over the course of the last several months, the Department of Cannabis Regulation has been working specifically with stakeholders who are involved in or impacted by the city's social equity program to try and determine a mechanism to move forward. A part of these considerations, as we were looking to make recommendations to this body, was a realization that there are certain social equity applicants who have been sitting on property for a long period of time and are looking to be able to move forward. Simultaneously, the City of Los Angeles has yet to fund the social equity program and certain programming that is required of the social equity program. Part of what we recommended to this body in a series of reports were options that the City Council had in front of it in trying to choose a pathway forward. We had outlined that the city could choose to change its licensing process from first come, first serve to a lottery-based process or a merit-based process. We determined that we could still move forward with a first come, first serve model, but that would absolutely benefit those folks who were resourced, while there were many, many applicants who were waiting on resources that were promised to them by the city. Part of what we have in front of this committee today is an option that tries to split the difference and essentially provides a meaningful path forward to a specified and limited number of applicants who are ready to go or who will be ready to go when we start. And more importantly, and I appreciate that this is included in these recommendations, is that beyond that limited number of applicants, the Department of Cannabis Regulation will not be moving forward with additional licensure until the promised programming is available. I think that that is critically important. I know that there are folks who are eager and who are ready to go, but as we have described to this committee and to council, we are just getting started. And even as we're just getting started and with the delays that we have, we are still a leader in this space. And folks are expecting us to lead in this space. There are only 20% of jurisdictions in the state of California who are stepping forward and showing leadership on these issues. There are many more issues that remain to be tackled. We have to have conversations around on-site consumption in this city. We have to have conversations around community reinvestment and youth development. But I believe with the recommendations that we have here today, we have set our intention to try and balance those considerations to allow the department to move forward with a limited number of licenses for those folks who are ready, while holding opportunities while the city further commits to its program and dedicates funding. Now, I know that that means that for folks who aren't ready and for the programming that we have available, this is going to take time. We've always known that this process was going to take time, but we are in the process of identifying and collaborating together to pool resources and moving forward in a meaningful way. We know that the state of California just released funding for a grant program that we will be applying to and seeking a majority share of that funding. Part of what we've recognized here in the city of Los Angeles is that because this has been ground zero for the drug war, we need to have a significant amount of resources from the state, from the city of Los Angeles dedicated to those populations. So I know that we've worked together to get to this point, to see these recommendations. I am very appreciative, again, that these recommendations include and require that the department not move forward, one, until there's additional social equity analysis done, and two, until there is the requisite programming on the table.
Okay, why don't you guys just stay there? Let me get the next speaker. Hopefully that's clarified somewhat. Yes, sir, identify yourself.
First of all, I signed up for general public comment. That's okay?
Go ahead, you're up there now.
All right, my name is Daniel Sosa. Controller Galperin estimated last year there were 1,700 illegal stores in the city. There are about 170 legal stores. They outnumber legal stores 10 to 1, and they pay zero tax and have zero compliance costs. Therefore, their prices are about half as much. If I were the average consumer and I could get cannabis at half price, I'd probably go there too. What we are doing with the overtaxation of cannabis is creating an environment where the black market is thriving and subjecting the consumer, particularly the low-income consumer, to the black market. The same people we've been harassing, locking up, and subjecting to invasive police searches just for using cannabis are being forced to the black market by economics. They are at risk of being caught in a police raid when they visit illegal stores. They consume cannabis that has not been tested. And when they visit legal stores, they are being robbed of their hard-earned dollars because the government feels entitled to such a massive slice of the pie. It is a lose-lose for the consumer, and it is a lose-lose for the industry.
Thank you. Next speaker. Yes, identify yourself.
Yes, good morning. My name's Chauncey Bullock. I am a Phase 2 social equity applicant moving toward Phase 3. I'm hoping that the board would look at an opportunity of giving social equity applicants an opportunity for those that do not currently have their properties to get their properties in order, give them an opportunity if they don't have them to still please allow them to receive the opportunity to get a license. In addition to that, we're hoping that the board will, with Phase 2, cultivators with temporary licenses, just automatically make those temporary licenses permanent licenses and give them 365 days to get their things together. And then at that point, we can move forward for a Phase 3 in getting the licenses for retail to the next level.
Thank you. Next speaker, please identify yourself.
My name is Hope Bricks. I'm with Purple Trilogy. I have a licensed delivery only store in Northern California, and I am a Phase 2 applicant and will be a Phase 3 applicant when it opens here in LA. And my comments are, I would urge everyone to reconsider excluding Phase 3 applicants from also being a Phase 2 applicant. I don't exactly know where that came from, but Phase 2 and Phase 3 have to do with social equity. So why would we limit those applicants to only being able to apply for one license type? The other thing is, I don't exactly know where the 100 and the 100 split came from. This is all for social equity. Have we verified that 100 social equity applicants have property that's just been sitting, that they've been paying for, that they've been waiting? I don't disagree that maybe we should move some forward and save some for later till we get everything together. But how did we derive at this number?
Next speaker, please. Next speaker. Identify yourself.
Good morning. My name is Jasmine Aguiar. I am the president of the working group. I was born and raised in South Central Los Angeles. The working group has spent the last 2 years consulting municipal, state, and federal government entities with one common goal: to promote equitable ownership employment opportunities in the cannabis industry in order to decrease disparities in life outcomes for marginalized communities and to address the disproportionate impacts of the war on drugs in those communities. The working group would like to point out 2 existing barriers of entry to Angelenos. Tier 1 classification is a low income and has a California cannabis arrest or conviction. This classification allows for any person in California to receive priority over Angeleno residents who live in qualified zip codes. The working group requests that the City Council and DCR require a minimum of 5-year residency in a qualified zip code for all Tier 1 applicants. Number 2, current Phase 2 applicants' social equity requirements are forcing applicants.
Thank you. Next, everybody gets a minute. Try to put in it as much as you can. Mr. Grant.
Good morning, Council President, Council. My name is Virgil Grant. We first have to close down the unlicensed shops in order for social equity to have an opportunity. Also, we know lotto and merit-based doesn't work. First come, first serve. We did it in Phase 1, we did it in Phase 2. No problem to do it in Phase 3. If it's not broke, don't fix it. If an applicant is ready, then let them go. There are people like Donnie Anderson and many others that have been holding on to their location for 2 years plus paying the lease. They're ready to go. If they're ready to go, issue them a license now. Thank you.
Okay. Identify.
Morning, my name is Arturo Flores, resident of South LA the past 30 years. I am opposed to the first come, first serve. I strongly believe that the outreach and the community engagement piece has failed, was underfunded. Mrs. Packard did an incredible job with the resources she was given, but it wasn't enough. I know that there is funding now. I think that we need to do more to engage the communities that haven't been engaged and have no idea that this is going on, that there's discussions and that deals are being made as to who's getting a license and who isn't. I understand that you guys also allocated funding for enforcement. I hope that you guys do matching funds for development and for funding of the social equity program for some of these applicants as well. It's interesting to see how we bankrolled programs that help criminalize even more some of these people that are in the cannabis industry, but we should also do the same for people that are actually trying to do it the right way legally and fund those programs as well.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, good morning. My name is Kristen Lovell, and thank you, Kat, for clarifying, because it looks like we're moving forward. I want to remind all of us for the need for license holder accountability and corporate social responsibility throughout all phases, throughout all tiers. The overwhelmingly white male moneyed license holders are finding a way to avoid corporate social responsibility, and community reinvestment is necessary, and it must be mandated, and it must be enforced. According to some information I've been given, there are 2 licenses available in Van Nuys, and I want to hear about how the 16 licenses already awarded are reinvesting in my community.
Next.
Good morning. My name is Elizabeth Osterman. I'm co-founder and owner of Loki Lotion. I'm here in support of the social equity program. I believe that if we can get the resources needed to help small business owners and equity applicants push forward and not have to lose their companies, I'm about ready to lose my company and everything that I've worked really hard for. The last 3 years, I can't hang on anymore. I'm holding on to a rope that is shredding my hands, and I'm waiting. I took my products off the shelves in July. I don't have a mean to support myself. I am grasping at every chance I get, every side hustle job I could possibly do to put food on the table right now. I can't do it anymore. I want a legitimate space here in Los Angeles to help my community. I want to be a part of the community. I want to be part of the growth. But I can't because I am stuck as a white woman in the cannabis space dealing with predators. They are taking us. They're taking my company. Please don't let that happen to us.
Thank you, Kareem. And then we want Micha, Michael Jordan, Walter Edwards, Omar Mohammed, and Tyrone Freeman. Yes, Kareem.
My name is Kareem Webb. I'm CEO of the Fourth Movement. I just want to again commend the council. I'm in support of the recommendations here today, but I want to speak about income inequality. This is an opportunity for us as Los Angelinos to shed a light on fairness, execution, and the ability to have resources that are going to improve our outcomes in parts of the city that have been left out. It's the resources that are associated with this industry, which is why the city of LA is doing social equity. And so the ability for us to enforce compliance, support Cap Packer and the DCR so that we can execute at the highest level and make sure that social equity partners have performed in the past in ways that are consistent with what's in the interest of stakeholders, and they have been philanthropic in their efforts, that they're known entities, because there's a lot of predatory people out here looking to take advantage of social equity applicants.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Michael Jordan. I'm here on behalf of myself and Fourth Movement. First, I would like to say thank you to the City Council for their leadership and courage in supporting the social equity opportunity. Also, I would like to thank Fourth Movement for giving me the opportunity to collaborate with community leaders to help promote growth, prosperity, and economic change in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, identify yourself and go ahead.
Good morning. My name is Walter Edwards. Good morning, Council, Cat Packer, and everything you do. Thank you. I've lived in Los Angeles all my life in the 8th, 9th, and 10th district. I reside right now in the 8th district. I am a candidate for the social equity program. And I stand with those who have been ready to turn key right now. But more so, I ask that everybody who will get a license in Los Angeles, that they reinvest in our communities. Our community is devastating. It's empty. It's dead. This was a real war. It goes more than just marijuana. It goes into sherm, heroin, cocaine. This has killed my people. My people's in graveyards right now. They're in prison. They're downtown Skid Row, just desolate. You know, so if you're going to come here in our community, please reinvest in other businesses besides this business to give jobs and create a hope for my community. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless us all. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself.
Good morning, Council. First and foremost, I want to thank you all for your leadership, for your
Your
courage.
name? Let's give him his time again and give us your name.
I'm sorry about that. Good morning. My name is Omar Mohammed. I am a candidate, a social equity candidate, native of Los Angeles, California. And I first and foremost want to thank you all for your leadership and courage in pushing the initiative of social equity forward. I'm also a participant with Fourth Movement, and since my acceptance into the program, I've actually really identified my responsibility to my community, seeing the effects that the war on drugs and just the war on drugs has had in the community. This opportunity has given me an opportunity to come back and restore my community and create a mission to create jobs within the community.
So I want to encourage you guys and thank you all for all your hard work and effort and your pushing this initiative forward. Thank you.
Thank you. And after Mr. Freeman, MQ, Matthew Wilson, Zachary Pitts, again, me, Cha, Jorge Nuno, Oscar Aguayo, and Patricia McAllister. Mr. Freeman.
Mr. Chairman, honorable members of the committee, Tyrone Freeman, Executive Director for the California Minority Alliance. And I want to start by saying that outside of Oakland, if there's a person that's black or brown that has a license in the state of California, I did their application. I bring that to the fact that I know what it takes as an organization, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, to ensure that people who have experienced the disproportionate attacks of the war on drugs can get a license and do it. And I want to commend the department. I think that this phase-in process is the right process, and that's from experience. Whether it's from Cudahy, Santa Luis, from the places I work, San Bernardino, the people of color, it is the right way to go. And in order to make this a perfect system, we need a system to make better. And that is, we've got to get through the first cycle of applications, figure out what the mistakes are, and move forward. I want to talk about funding, too. I got to put it all in one. One thing I want to say to everyone, politics has been my experience around this state. The fact of the matter is, if you ever pass a resolution and you don't put money in it as a mandatory, you're going to have the problems we have of enforcing the resolution. So let us learn from that. And I just want to close by saying, Mr. Chairman and all, I've organized the communities. I'm back. This is my last corral about justice in the community for those impacted by it. And I will tell you this. One thing that I got to say.
Thank you, Tyrone. You on a roll, and I was liking it, but I can't give you too much more. Next speaker. But you were good.
Thank you.
All right. Please identify yourself.
My name is Matthew Wilson. 3 years ago, I started a delivery service. My mission was to get cannabis to the people in my community in a safe and timely manner with providing knowledge about the products they were consuming. I'm here today to ask the Commission to allow my business that's currently on hold to allow, and also another collected group of individuals who have pre-established delivery businesses in the county, the opportunity to work side by side with the City of Los Angeles in order to together to create the standard on how a retail non-storefront should be ran. Because let's be honest, dispensaries have their hands tied as it is, trying to be the best dispensary. But we are trying to specifically stay on the non-retail storefront and how we can provide information on how to keep it safer before you even roll out the gate. We can make sure it's done right so we can, the thing is safety here, people, not money. You're losing it. The people on the ground the last 8 years putting their lives in line, bringing cannabis down to dispensaries, putting their life on the line. You guys, we're here, but the bottom got us here. So let's not forget that moving forward. Matthew Wilson, you will not forget it. I'll be here every time you have one of these meetings. Have a great day. God bless.
Okay, next. Good to see you again.
Hi, my name is Zachary Pitts. I'm here on behalf of the LA Delivery Alliance. I'd like to say that the city kind of has two really important problems surrounding cannabis. It's enforcement and it's social equity. And I think the DCR's recommendations perfectly address, they address both very well. I think it really advances social equity quickly and efficiently, and I think it also advances the problem in enforcement in the sense that when you start licensing these bodies, when you start licensing these cannabis businesses, the enforcement problem is going to be reduced. You're going to have a very clear distinction between who are intending to stay in the black market and who want a license and are waiting. So I encourage you wholeheartedly to support all of these recommendations, and thank you very much.
Good to see you, Zachary. And if I could get Sharif Franklin and Keith to get in line. Ms. McAllister, come on.
Good morning, Mr. President. I was originally against this plan, but I've done some research, and it is being said that the city is not making the money they thought they would make off of this marijuana. Now, these 4 or 5 pages of regulations here, this is what I think. You're pushing the little guys out to get the mob and the people, the big drug dealers in this, so that you can spice the drug up, make it, when I say drug, marijuana, make it addictive, and make the millions that you want, the billions you want to make, and that still won't work. I'm looking at some of the fees here, $12,000 for permit fees in Santa Ana. Here, $131,000 in permit fees in Long Beach. See, the city of Los Angeles is similar to this. So I'm looking at the big picture, and I know what you're doing. You're pushing them out so that you can bring in the big guys to spice this thing up, make some money. I know what you're doing. I know the game. See, I know the game. I'm not in the game, but I know the game. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McAllister. Next.
Good morning. My name is Jorge Nuno. I'm a resident of South Central Los Angeles, and I guess my concern is, as the initiative of social equity has rolled out, there's so many inequities in this process that it's just hard to bear. For example, as we are talking about, let's roll out phase 3, how can we roll out phase 3 when phase 1 and phase 2 social equity has not been funded correctly? So as we go down this road and we see all these predatory partners, it's mind-boggling to want to move forward when we know the social equity program is not being funded. A perfect example, I just had an applicant share that because they're phase 2, they have to get signatures from pre-ICOs in order to move forward. So how many social equity applicants have pre-ICO relationships? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. My name is Oscar Aguayo. I just really want to emphasize the importance of technical assistance and mentorship and even access to capital to a lot of social equity applicants. It is critical and it is very important. You will reduce the rate of failure. Second, we need more outreach, to the Latino community. I have not seen any outreach out there. All I can do is really spread the word, but that's not enough. We need all of you to step up and continue the outreach or start the outreach. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Franklin?
Good morning, Council President and members. Tree Franklin with Think and Grow Lab and Go Verde Incubator. I would like to thank the department for including an opportunity for phase 2 applicants to receive a delivery license, but I'd like to see if we can do more by putting a mandate that retailers receive product from the phase 2 applicants so they're not shut out of shelf space and have to pay high fees for shelf space. That'll help stabilize the market as we go forward in the years, and we've seen other big market people like Whole Foods and others do that for retail shelf space. The other thing is regarding the requirements. As you know, in the city of Los Angeles, many buildings do not have a certificate of occupancy. They haven't issued them, and particularly on the older buildings, so to have that as a requirement may not be available to most people. There are other elements that can be received as proof of occupancy, and some buildings may require a change of use. So we should keep that in consideration in the requirements. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. Good morning.
Good morning, council members. My name is Kika Keith. I stand before you as a concerned stakeholder of the 8th District, as a Tier 1 social equity applicant, as a single mother of 3 daughters, who only by the grace of God have I been able to hold on to a lease of a retail property on Crenshaw Boulevard. I not only stand here on my own interests, but I stand here representing the interests of my people in South LA in Districts 8, 9, and 10, who have worked with groups like California Minority Alliance, Think and Grow Labs. We've studied. We are well-studied applicants. We are ready to go. We've been studying since 2017, since the motion was passed. So I ask Rules Committee that you recommend that the DCR begin the licensing process for Tier 1 and Tier 2 social equity applicants that are ready and have been holding on to properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker. And then after this gentleman, let me get Iman Hobbs Brown, Wally Knott, Bonita Money, or Mooney, and Kevin Wharton Price. Yes, sir. Identify yourself.
Yeah, good morning, sir. My name is George Blaine. Good morning, Councilman Dawson, Wesson, Ms. Martinez. My name is George Blaine. I came down here for the first time. Actually, I did community service in District 8 at Councilman Dawson's office because I was going to be convicted for 3 years, be sent to prison for 3 years for marijuana. We need this within our community. Let's not have generational oppression. Allow us to have generational wealth for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please come identify yourself.
Good morning. Iman Hobbs Brown here.
I'm going to try to read quickly because I actually wrote, but I'm a community member and I also was a former journalist for over a decade. As such, I've been trained to pay attention to details and promote clear communication, but I don't believe this is being done with regard to the way certain social equity recommendations are being discussed with the public versus the way they're being presented to council and passed. Specifically, I'd like to draw attention to the Municipal Code 104.20I9, which states that after the term of a social equity agreement is completed, which could be in as little as 1 to 3 years, a Tier 1 or 2 social equity applicant license holder may only transfer control or ownership of a license, which basically is their stake in the company or their piece of the pie, after first providing the other ownership interest in the business the right of first refusal to buy at market rate. What does this mean? What does this mean for a social equity applicant? Can we clarify this language with the public before it's passed to be sure that community members, social equity applicants aren't simply used for their SE status and then bought out, essentially cut out of their wealth legacy opportunity by bigger non-social equity partners? It's about legacy, so thank you.
Next, identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Bonita Money. I am the founder of the National Diversity and Inclusion Cannabis Alliance. Thank you for inviting me here today. I'd like to address some very serious issues. There hasn't been funding enough to support these social equity applicants. We are not ready to really move forward on phase 3 in order with the right support. Technical assistance definitely needs to be there, and there needs to be enough time to support these applicants. And why the rush to move forward with phase 3 when phase 2 applicants are still being processed? This long-promised business assistance for social equity applicants has yet to roll out, and we need funding to be released. This is so important for the people of LA. Social equity was about giving the opportunity for people and communities that have been impacted by the war on drugs. And this is not going to happen if we allow these predatory investors to take advantage of our applicants. And that is what is happening out there. I see this all the time with my members and the people that are out there that are truly, truly trying to take advantage of this opportunity.
Thank you very much for coming. Yes, sir. Please identify yourself.
Hello, my name is Wally Knott. Say good morning and thank you for this opportunity to speak. As a social equity applicant and a participant in the Fourth Movement campaign and Fourth Movement movement, as a matter of fact, I want to say that it's been a very fantastic experience. I wanted to say I thank you for the City Council for presenting this opportunity to us. Fourth Movement has been an absolutely fantastic professional development and community outreach program to me, and I am really here, and I'm very humbled to be here. I'm very humbled to speak in front of you all. I'm very humbled to actually just be an applicant. This is a opportunity I really much look forward to, and I hope the City Council continues to push forward, and I would like to thank Ms. Packer for all her hard work as well as the DCR. Thank you.
Next.
How you doing? My name is Kevin Warden Price of the African Town Coalition. And I just wanted to say from the grassroots, as we move through the city, we see that funds have been allocated to toward enforcement. Okay, so there's a lot of businesses that are being shut down. But as it was said earlier, there are a lot of businesses in which people have been holding on. They have submitted all their paperwork. And so what we're asking, I'm asking on behalf of the African Town Coalition and the city, is that this council here start approving Tier 1 and 2 applications, because there's a vacuum that's being created in the city, okay? On the grassroots, there's a vacuum that's being created. And that vacuum needs to be filled by the people in this room who have businesses, and they have, I just say turnkey businesses, and they're ready to go, but they are Tier 1 and Tier 2 social equity applicants. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming down. So if I could get Rick Ross, Lisa Green, Mark McConey, Hassan Mohammed, please come forward.
Ricky Ross. I've been out of prison for 10 years now. I did 20 years in prison. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I stay there right now. I experienced not only the war on drugs, but also the redlining with the banks. The redlining right now with the banks, where houses in South Central Los Angeles are costing $500,000 to buy a house in South Central Los Angeles. And even though you can have a perfect credit score, but if you don't have a job to back it, you still can't get a loan. So redlining is still going on right now today. I'm very aware of the predatory investors. I have right now 3 investors, billionaires, that are making me offers to come in and be my partner. But I'm trying to hold fast, because I don't think that we should sell this program out. This is a program that South Central Los Angeles needed for a long time. There's guys that have been on the street that's been keeping the violence down, who don't want licenses but have been taking our young kids around to places, feeding them out of their own pockets. And some of this money from marijuana should go to help those guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Yes, identify yourself.
My name is Lisa Green. I'm a social equity applicant. I prepared my statement. Social equity is starting to feel like a front for billionaires to make money. Currently, there's a company from Canada under the guise of social equity that is paying for Tier 1 referrals. As they've certainly signed up over 100 social equity applicants. I've spoken to one of their business managers that told me they will never allow a social equity applicant to run a dispensary. They will stock it with their own people. As a Tier 1 social equity applicant owns 51% of the business, how is it possible, or I'm sorry, I'm gonna skip. How can viable social equity applicants that have sold their homes and businesses with the business acumen to create their business plans, investor packages, create their own brand, and even secure their own investors and compete with a Canadian company that can submit hundreds of applications on day one? Due to the limited amount of social equity licenses and locations, I asked the DCR Council to limit the number of licenses a Tier 3 investor can support, and also require MJ Social Equity to release to DCR the names of the social equity people they have secured.
Thank you. Next.
Yeah, how you doing? My name is Hassan Muhammad, and the only thing I'm trying to say is I'm trying to figure out how it can be legal and illegal at the same time for certain sectors of the community. And at the same time, you know, I got a lot of social equity applicants who have resources and everything that are drying up, waiting for this process, and I just think it needs to happen. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next speaker, please identify yourself.
Mark McConey, also known as Bo Rock from the Dove Shack. I am a multi-platinum selling recording artist. I've been in the cannabis industry for well over 20 years. I helped the Wizard open up the first cannabis store in Los Angeles on Hollywood Boulevard in La Brea. And I'm here to tell you that you guys are approaching the social equity totally wrong. The neglecting of it, the way you guys are trying to maneuver around really benefiting the community as it was written to be, has made Los Angeles a laughing stock amongst other states who are well profiting from the cannabis industry. We missed our numbers this year, our projected numbers that Los Angeles was supposed to make in the cannabis industry. That's largely in part to the neglection of social equity. Money is being lost. We are being embarrassed. And it is a shame that something that was created for our community is also hurting our community at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next. Your name?
Ignite.
Go ahead.
Ignite, please, peace and love. So many things to address. First and foremost, social equity is set up for legacy. The fact that the language is being changed so that in 3 years the investor has the first right of refusal, as opposed to the social equity applicant being able to pass it down either to another social equity applicant, either in their family or someone else in the community who is going to continue the community benefits, as opposed to somebody who could care less about our community, could care less about our people going to jail, could care less about our people still sitting in jail right now to this day. And the fact that the lack of representation for the community, where are we represented in your meetings? Where are we represented on this panel? Where are we represented for the people who care about what's going on in our community and maintaining our position in an industry that has capitalized on us in jail, as consumers, and in every which way? In the fact that
Thank you, Ignite. Thank you. Okay, that concludes public comment. Okay, and I forgot to indicate we were joined much earlier by Councilmember Marquise Harris Dawson, so the entire committee is here. Unless you guys have anything that you want to add on item 1, I recommend, sir, I close public comment. Public comment is closed. No, public comment is closed. I called everybody's name that was on the list. Okay, so on item 1, without objection, we will adopt the recommendations of the chair. And so with that said, let's deem that approved. Now let's move to what's left, Mr. Clerk. Is it item 2?
Item 2, sir. The City Attorney report and ordinance relative to amending the Los Angeles Municipal Code to authorize the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power to disconnect utility services at unlawful commercial cannabis establishments.
Okay, so on item 2, let's adopt the city attorney's draft ordinance and report. So on that item, let's my colleagues are fine with that, so let's move forward on that. We'll consider that item deemed approved as well. That leaves us where? What's left?
The desk is clear, sir.
The desk is clear. Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming. This meeting is adjourned.